my home away from home, my favorite place in the world, my farm that we have a 17-acre tillable ag field here in the middle of timber, kind of surrounded by timber, I should say. And I'm taking it officially out of production this year. And this is just a simple graphic that I put together of what I'm going to do as far as converting this field to all wildlife habitat. And today's project is this orange band in the middle is going to be planted into 3,200 plus or minus hardwood trees that I got from the state nursery, consisting of mostly oaks. There's some persimmon and some other things in, but we got a big variety of oaks. And I got some buddies out here helping me. We've got a tractor with a ride-on tree planter. The weather is awesome today. We had some rain, but things are drying out nicely. Today the hardwoods go in. In a couple weeks I'm coming back. These light green colored bands are 16-foot wide clover fire break / food plot / lanes that will give me access around the farm, provide food, provide a break, so when I decide to burn these areas we can do that safely. And then the dark brown areas are warm season grasses. These are going to be all planted to a combination of switchgrass, big blue stem, and Indian grass, tall warm season grasses for thick bedding cover. So we're really taking a wide open field and going to convert it all to wildlife habitat, still maintaining food. This is about a 2.5 acre cove where we're standing right now. I'm going to leave that in production. I'm actually going to be planting that myself every year to corn and soybeans, and we're going to let that stand for the deer. This little field right here is about an acre or so cove. That's going to be in fall, cool season annual greens. Plus there's about 3 acres in total of clover. By the time you add up all those roads, I'll have about 3, 5, 6 plus acres of food still down in here. But that in combination with the cover that we're going to provide with the trees and the warm season grasses is going to take my farm to the next level. Man, and I'm super excited about that because we have big timber and fields. We don't have any of that early successional shrubby thick habitat and warm season grasses. So it's going to add a missing component. And man, today's day one of a big project. This thing, by this fall, we're going to start seeing the results. Our trees are 130-foot wide blocks, 10-foot spacing between rows, and we're trying to keep a 9 to 10-foot average between the trees. There are 10 oak varieties in here, mostly red and white. I do have a black oak variety in here, and I also have some persimmon. And the objective for choosing these species was to create of course, mast is important to us in the long run, and maybe some marketable timber in the future, but definitely way up on the high priority list is adding great habitat to hold and attract more mature bucks on my farm. We have this tree planter here that we borrowed from a great friend of mine, but these are available in most counties. You can rent this from the NRCS office. 2 guys are on it, right on these seats, as you've seen in the video. But basically there is it almost looks like a firewood splitter on the front. So there's a steel angle that opens the soil with a little cutting, basically a coulter wheel in front of that that's an opener. You've got a steel opening box, and inside that box there's a cavity there. So you take your tree, set it down inside that steel box. As the tree moves through the opening, the 2 closing wheels right behind it grab that soil and press that slot closed. So the main thing is just try to keep a consistent spacing. These guys have been doing awesome all day. They've been just watching it to a certain point, the next tree goes in. Wheels grab it, press the open trough closed, soil gets pushed against the tree roots, you've got to plant a tree. It's that simple. Just keeping it vertical is the most important part. And we've got great moist soil today, and we've got rain in the forecast like 2 days out. So early spring, these things are still dormant. They're going to be budding open in a few weeks here. So I think we're hitting this just absolutely right. We're sorting these are bare root trees, obviously. They're packed in wet peat moss to keep the roots moist. As long as these fibrous roots don't dry out, the tree is very viable. These are dormant. They've been in cold storage, and today's the first they've seen the light of day, and it's going to be in the 70s today. But if you're planting trees by hand, you can do it with a shovel or what's called a dibble bar. That basically just creates an opening in the ground. You stub your shovel in the ground or your dibble bar and work it back and forth. But one thing to be aware of is what they call J-rooting. You see this long center, what would be called the tap root. You don't want that to go in the ground like this. You want that to be as vertical as possible. If that means trimming it, looking at sort of the average length here, if I trim that off with a nice sharp set of shears right there, that's not going to be detrimental to the tree overall. It's better actually than having it planted like this, J-rooting. So you create an opening in the ground, you push your tree down into it, you pull it up to create that vertical, and then you press the dirt in on both sides of the opening and go to the next one. The tree planter today is going to do all that work for us. By having, for the next 15, let's say 5 to 50 years, as these hardwoods mature, they're all late leaf holding oaks that will hold the leaves all the way through the winter. As the buds open in the spring, those leaves will fall off. So that means great cover with all the leaves on this thick stand of oaks, 9 feet on center, 10 feet rows apart. A deer can lay in that and have a sea of warm season grasses completely surrounding them. They step out 50 yards either direction, and they're on my clover fire breaks, which are food. They're going to have a cove of agriculture in this end of the field, a cove of ag in that end of the field, bedding and living in the timber, in the warm season grasses, and then the early successional. It's going to extend my available habitat for daytime use by 17 plus acres. I may not see the ultimate result and the final rewards of this, but it's really awesome knowing that I'm involved in something today and the next upcoming weeks that is larger than myself, and that I have a really cool, awesome feeling and a piece of knowing that I'm creating something that's going to be beneficial for years and years to come.